6 o'clock. And I'd like to call the village board meeting, Monday, November 6th, 2023 to order. We'd like to begin with roll call. Trustee Booker. Here. Trustee Woods. Here. Trustee Owens. Here. Trustee Johnson. Present. Trustee Greaves. Here. Trustee Thompson. Here. President Montgomery. Here. We invite the audience to join us as we recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So I don't know, do we have any persons desiring to be heard? We do not. Okay, thank you. Next item on our agenda is item number 4. We have our elected officials and staff reports that are in your packets. I don't know if anyone has any questions related to any of those reports. If not, we will accept them as presented. The next thing on our agenda is the consent agenda. We have the minutes of the October 16, 2023 meeting, consideration of minutes from October 23rd, 2023, which is a special meeting. Consider list of 2024 special events to be coordinated by the Special Events Committee. Consider issuing requests for proposals for financial audit services. Accept the October 2023 voucher statement. Consider memorandum of understanding for IT services for North Shore Health Department. And consider service agreement with BMO Harris Bank for village banking services. These are all in our packet and a part of the consent agenda. If there are no questions for any of those items, Trustee Owens.
Okay, I have a question in regards to item F under the consent agenda, the memorandum of understanding for IT services for North Shore. In looking at that, I noticed that you're paying them in full by December 23rd for 4 years. Is that something that's common or new or?
That's not common. The health department's doing that is because they have a grant that's expiring that they don't feel like they're gonna utilize the funds. So they negotiate a deal with Bayside to pay it in advance, so they don't lose those funds.
But what happens if there's a disagreement or something with that? Is there any recourse or anything? I mean, you've already paid them, so if there's some type of disagreement that comes up or whatever, what's the recourse?
There's not, that's up to the, health department at Bayside. For us as the fiscal agent, I think if some kind of recourse happened, they would have to work together. Now Bayside is one of the 7 communities that uses the health department. So in a weird way, Bayside would be impacted by that, manner. So I think because of that, that's something that isn't worried about between the 2 entities. But I talked with Becky about that. They had mentioned it'd have to be a really unique case in order for that to be, but I think there would be a mutual understanding to some kind of payback and that, even though it's not spelled out. But I think the just because of the nature that Bayside utilizes the health department to, it's in their best interest to work that out.
All right, thank you.
Other questions about anything in the consent agenda?
Yeah, I just have a comment related to BMO Harris Bank. They don't currently have a branch located in this area, do they? In the village?
No, not from here. The closest branch would be over by Brownview Road and Port Washington Road. Is that correct, Eric?
think there's one just north of Brownview Road by 786.
Is that technically closer? Okay. Okay. Derek, do you want to just give a 1 minute elevator speech or, a quick speech as far as the benefit of them versus the others that we're exploring?
Sure, so, put in the memo, there's, like a lot of them are very similar price, so it isn't something that really costs the village a lot of money, if they do like an earnings credit, and they have a whole lot of different fees that are pennies, dimes, and small amounts, and you end up having to have like $1 million or so in your account to avoid the fees, which we're usually pretty close to. So I just like the people that pitched me. I feel like I have some people I can talk to if anything ever comes up, like right now in this bank. There's no government services. They got rid of it a little over a year ago, so if I have a question, I could just send it the generic service email. Tri-City was one that I reached out to. They sent a proposal. They were the most expensive one. We're looking at doing some more services with banking, such as like a lockbox. Will help us out with our difficulty we've had having like a full-time admin assistant. We got a 2-to-1, so that could help the village with the payment entering process. And this would also be things like looking at how we're doing our credit cards. I kind of like BMO's approach there a little better than the others.
Where's the lockbox?
It is at FIS, so it's right across the street.
Not open to the public.
But it is not open to the public. You'd have to mail it there. Usually, I think they have a security team on that side there. Well, that was the only local lockbox. The others were in Chicago. Great, thank you.
Other questions? If not, we do need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Move that we approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by trustee Thompson and second by trustee Greaves to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor? Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Under new business, we have item A, consider service agreement with affiliated property valuation services or assessment services. And I know this was on our agenda last time, or maybe a couple of times before, in terms of the different ones that we were considering.
Yeah. So, we have the servicing agreement in front of you tonight for consideration. Just to keep this one up, we've been using Actor Appraisal for I think 4 years. As you all, or actually, 4 years. We've struggled communication, and we know some of the inaccuracies that have cost the village some dollars, and pursuing to fix those. After talking with Actor, there's a mutual agreement to terminate the agreement a year early so we could go out to RFP. The village proactively followed up on multiple occasions with 6 different possible agencies, and also posted it in some public locations, including the League of Wisconsin Municipalities site. In the end, we received 2 proposals, one coming from Accurate, the other coming from Affiliated Property Valuation Services. There was a cost difference between the two, with Accurate providing a much cheaper cost. But this is one of the reasons why we do a community survey, so we can do data to help utilize some of our policy decisions. And assessment services is rated as one of the lowest, if not it's the lowest service provided to residents right now around here. So I think there's some evidence there to speak that it's time for a change. As you also know, we did a joint RFP with the other North Shore entities. Right now, based on cost, and just because no one in the area is familiar yet with Affiliated, they want to use Brown Deer as kind of a guinea pig to allow us to test them. So they are currently at the moment going to stay with Accurate, but be watching us pretty closely to make sure trust with Dan and Fanny who are here in front of you tonight. I think there's a lot of benefits with this arrangement. The one that I think residents will see the most is when you call, you're not being pushed to an online portal. You will talk directly with them to schedule the appointments. Being pushed to some kind of intermediaries. So I think right away we'll see an improvement there. Their track record as far as accuracy with assessments is evident, as a number of references have spoke highly about. And if you just look at their aggregate ratios, which are reported to the revenue, also validates that accuracy. So the one thing that we'll just need to be pay attention to, which will be a little different for us, but I think we can work through. Accurate usually has their own software where they put the property files on. We're going to have to transfer those from the software to Market Drive, which we will personally own, but Affiliated will help with that transfer. Market Drive has never taken files from Accurate's software to theirs, so we will have to see how that works. In order to help facilitate that, we don't plan on doing a market revaluation in 2024. This would allow enough time for Affiliated to be able to make that transfer. So with this agreement, we would plan on doing a market revaluation every other year rather than every year. But we would anticipate a market revaluation to start in the year 2025. The other benefit that we're getting in this contract is a guaranteed office hour of at least once every 30 days, which we were not receiving with Accurate. So that will also help with the communication with staff. And in case, you know, issues come up with our building inspector where they need to communicate with Accurate or a resident, we'll have more office hours to provide that too. So those are kind of the general summary I want to provide to the board. Dan, I didn't know if you wanted to just introduce yourself and say anything to the board. We use the mic right there.
Sure. Yeah, thank you, Tyler, appreciate it. We are very excited, Patty and I and my whole staff. We're whoops, sorry.
Go ahead.
We're excited to get started here in Brown Deer. We look forward to meeting all of you and meeting the residents. We do provide, I think, a good level of service to the citizens. We've tried to do that in all of our other communities, and we look forward to bringing that to Brown Deer. So look forward to many positive interactions, hopefully with everybody here over the next several years.
So I do have a question. You know, during assessments go out and you have people that want to reach out, I think Tyler said that, you know, you're there. You're gonna get somebody answer the phone.
Yes, I'm still working on my phone system, but it'll be a phone that comes to either myself, to Patty, or one of my other staff members. You'll get a live person on the other end, and we'll schedule a time to meet in person at that point.
And right now you have Racine.
Right now I have the village of Mount Pleasant in Racine County and the village of Waterford in Racine County.
Okay. All right. Other questions? Maybe they add more than that. No questions? We do need a motion to approve the service agreement.
I move to approve the service agreement with Affiliated Property Valuation Services for assessment services for 2024 to 2020.
Is there? Okay, it's been moved by trustee Woods and seconded by trustee Booker to approve the service agreement with Affiliated Property. All those in favor? Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Thank you. Congratulations, look forward
Thank you very
to
much.
working with you, hopefully I won't be one you call. Item number B, consider service agreement with Water Street Creative for magazine publication, printing, and distribution services.
Thanks. So one of the things, when I first got here back in 2022, one of my first meetings with Express News and working with some of our staff and as well as our community partner, which is the school district. Certainly, there was great things with the magazine, but talking with others, it was clear that there was some room for improvement too. The contract comes to an end at the end of this year, so we had waited till the end of the contract to pursue once again, an RFP process. This is a very similar conversation that with our assessor, where we pursued about 6 or 7 different companies. A lot of the companies that we reached out to did not express interest because they didn't want to take any more clients on. So Express News submitted a response, but Water Street Creative also submitted a response. And I can tell you from the moment we had first talked with Water Street Creative, it was clear that there was a great match there for the community. I think they understand the values and the vision of Brown Deer, especially when it comes to our communication and marketing efforts. Nathan, I want to pronounce your last name. Is it Heilman? Is that right? Heilman? All right, perfect. So Nathan happens to be a Brown Deer resident, which I think is really important for this service. Someone that understands, some things that are happening in the community where they can be a team player in helping us with the content. So that was really exciting. I mentioned several bullet points here where, I think there is a benefit to the village. We're getting a lower guaranteed cost with Water Street Creative. We're going to have access to a lot of advertisers. Express News was limited with their contacts and relied a lot on staff to help them seek out sponsorships and ads. While with Water Street Creative's network, I think we're going to be able to expand our advertisers to potentially expanding the length of the magazine, which would be a nice win-win as well. We've been having some mailing issues with the magazine where certain neighborhoods were not receiving it. After the interview, we feel very confident that we'll be able to remedy that problem with Water Street Creative. The paper quality will improve. After the meeting, I'll actually show you an example of the Shepherd Express, which is another publication they do. It's just the paper quality itself, I think, can really help the product. So I think that's going to be something that we hear as a tremendous benefit to residents. Access to a variety of professionals. So when it comes to the cover, we're not taking pictures off our phones, putting it on the cover of the magazine. That we're having professional photos put in. They have a very wide variety of skill sets with their staff that can help with the design of the product. That's something that we're certainly excited about. And I think there's other projects and initiatives that comes with this partnership. Something we'll talk about in a later meeting is our developers forum, where there's some research that I think they can help with some, potentially, an internship with the schools and having them have some resources in case any students are interested in marketing. So I think there's a wide variety of things that can stem from this relationship. So I'm really excited about this. I certainly think Express News for their assistance and the services they provided over the number of years, but I think this is going to help take our magazine to the next level. And we engaged the school district, library, Parks and Rec. We're all involved in the selection process, and it was unanimous, the recommendation.
Okay. Questions? That was all. Any questions? Yes.
I just may add, I just want to know, based on the cost and purchase policy, typically, this is an item that the manager would approve, is not over 25,000, but this is a product that touches everyone in the community, and I just thought with the high visibility and with the change, you know, part of it was good for the board to be able to vote on, you know, not have the manager approve, but I thought it was just a great story that we want to talk about, and once again, just to allow you to meet Ethan as well. Because like I said, I think this is gonna be a really good thing for each town.
And I think, just a change in the magazine when people get it at their homes. Most folks, I think, may notice the difference. The other thing is, how many of you, do you all get the magazine at home? Because there are people that don't, that should be, and so I don't know how, if they'll be inherited, where would the mailing list come from? I guess that's the question.
Do you want to talk about the mailing list real quick?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's been an issue for us? Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was good for me to sort of research and familiarize myself with the every door delivery system that USPS has. Was able to speak to several members there, and then put together a complete list that encompasses Brown Deer's boundaries, with some slight overlap into Granville. But I'm absolutely interested in hearing and receiving information about addresses that had not received it before to double check. It's not gonna hurt. It's a pretty painless and quick process, but ensuring that everyone receives it is a priority, obviously, yeah. And there is a pretty lengthy that's included inside of, I believe, the agenda, but Water Street Creative and I are incredibly excited to take on the project and provide a significantly improved product for the community here. We are planning a complete redesign and are hoping to better reflect a more community lifestyle magazine. And part of that will be with higher resolution professional photography. We'd like to have more photography and a couple new sections that will be consistent inside the magazine.
Sounds good. I just know that I've had people tell me, what magazine?
Yeah.
So I don't know how he didn't get it, but, and in the beginning, I wasn't getting it.
Yeah.
And when I did get it, they had to actually mail it to me in an envelope. So I didn't get it as the magazine was put in an envelope.
Yeah.
In mail.
Well, absolutely, would like to review whatever information is available with those addresses.
Yeah.
And make sure that I can confirm, but absolutely everything that we've looked at would provide complete delivery to the full village.
Sounds good. Yeah. And I did have a chance to look at them, but so.
So this is between, the village and the school, so that's not a split.
Yeah, so that's a good question. So I forwarded to Dr. Kelsey Brown and mentioned, I don't know how she wants to share the information. Technically, the service agreement is directly with the village and Water Street Creative. I think in years past, the school district has never adopted a service agreement. I'll leave that up to Dr. Kelsey Brown and the school board, but with the service agreement, we would then bill the school district their share of what we've done in the past. So the invoice would come directly to the village, and then we would work with the school district and get their share from.
I have a question, man. How do you separate school district from the village when it's basically the same population? The logic there.
So divide the content in the magazine between the two.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
so everybody. From school. Information is on village.
Yeah, I mean, we try our best in the magazine to go 50-50, but it's all about, content. There might be some issues, more school information, some might be more village information. But it'll go to every person in the village of Brown Deer. Now, for those that are in the school district that we not be in Brown Deer, there's still ways that you can access the magazine. Like we'll have some copies here at Village Hall and the library, one or two businesses. So there's ways to still get the magazine that way too, in case, they don't receive it at their door. Other questions?
Yeah, and more like a comment. I noticed one of your references is the downtown bid.
Yes.
Are you currently producing all the material that comes out from the bid?
Yes, yeah, we're the agency of record for downtown Milwaukee bid.
So you come up with the themes and
Yeah, we just produced their annual report, and I left some copies with the office, which I think is a nice representation of some of the products that we've produced recently. But yeah, we, put together their complete, summer campaign, shot a video for them that's received a significant amount of views on YouTube. Yeah, that's the largest client the Water Street Creative operates with, right?
okay, reason I get that magazine information. And I was wondering if Beth is coming up with all these creative items. Now I know it's you.
It's a great relationship with one of my colleagues, and yeah, I think it's a match made well. So,
Okay, thank you.
yeah, absolutely.
There or there. All right. Other questions? If not, we do need a motion to approve this.
I'll make the motion. I move to approve the service agreement with Water Street Creative for magazine publication, printing, and distribution services for 2024 through 2026.
I'll second that.
It's been moved by trustee Greaves and seconded by trustee Johnson to approve the service agreement with Water Street Creative. All those in favor? Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Thank you, congratulations. And who's your colleague?
Who's my wife, Dr. Tia Jarvis?
I guess. Thanks for coming. Don't make me stay. All right, next item on our agenda is, present and discuss process for tax incremental district number 5 creation.
So I'm just gonna tee it up real quick and then kick it over to Nate, because we are starting now process for TID 5 creation. There's been a lot of background work to set it up before we start going to review board and community, the CDA, the community development agency, and that we want to make sure the board is aware of the process, and the things behind everything. Tonight, we're not discussing TID 5 to discuss whether we want to have it or not for Brown Deer. We'll have an opportunity when it comes back to the board in December to have that discussion. The discussion tonight is just so you're aware of the process. And if you have any questions on the process, this will be the time to make sure that you feel comfortable with that before we move forward. So Nate's going to give a brief presentation that we'll give at some of the other points in the process, just so you can kind of see what the messaging is. And then at the end, we have a timeline that we'll lay out with the next step. Nate?
Sure, thanks, Tyler. So this item is purely informational this evening, and in your packet, you have two items. One is a presentation that Ellers has prepared that will be delivered to the Joint Review Board, which is the board that consists of the other taxing jurisdictions in Brown Deer, also with the village. So you have the school district, MATC, Milwaukee County, along with the village and a community member representative on that board. And the Joint Review Board has to take action to approve the creation of the tax incremental financing district because it ultimately impacts those entities in the sense that we would be withholding the incremental value generated in the taxing district for 27 years, with the idea that hopefully we're spurring new development that at the end of the life of the TID district, they will be receiving more tax revenue than our current. So you also have in the packet a project plan, which is the true document that is required by the Department of Revenue. All of these tax incremental financing districts across the state need to follow the statutory requirements for creation and then go to the Department of Revenue for a final review to make sure that they follow the statutory requirements in terms of percent of the district that is blighted, what the base values are in the district, and so on. And so that project plan also identifies the boundaries, the proposed boundaries of the district, and there are maps in that project plan that show you roughly, as we've discussed previously, that this district will extend from the area behind the former Bank Mutual site, come up across Brown Deer Road, picking up the Right Height building, and then heading east across the railroad tracks into the Brown Deer Business Park, where we've talked about the F Street project at the 4300 building, extending through the properties in the Brown Deer Business Park, picking up the US Bank building, and then going across the street to what is the vacant First Citizens Bank building. The map has some unique contours to it. We had to get a little creative because of some of the statutory requirements I alluded to in terms of how much property you can have, or how much property is blighted within a certain area, what the value is of the district compared to your overall value of all properties in other taxing districts. So you see, not just a straight square. It kind of jogs a little bit here and there. We've omitted a couple of key properties, such as the Fox 6 site, the BP station to the north of that, the building where Pitney Bowes has its operations. Those have been omitted because of those challenges in value and blight designation. The other thing I'll mention is that we've also not included the Marketplace Shopping Center. We know that that is obviously a priority area for redevelopment, but after talking with Ellers, we have decided that it's most prudent to hold off on putting that into the TID or either creating a new TID for the Marketplace on its own separately at a later date. The reason that is because we don't want to put the property into a tax district well before there might be an opportunity to redevelop the site. We don't know when that is. Obviously, we would all hope for sooner than later, but it may be realistically still several years away. And so the less time that you have in a tax incremental district, the less advantageous it is, because you want as many years as possible to recoup and kind of collect all the incremental value that could come from a redevelopment. So that's why the Marketplace is not in this project plan at this time, but we are very aware of the ability or the desire to incentivize that site for redevelopment. And we anticipate either an amendment to this TID district or a standalone at some point in the future.
Can I get clarity on just one parcel
Yes.
along North Kildare Court? That is where the UPS and the First Citizens, and then when you come, so that's included in it.
It is only the Kildare Court, or I should say, it is only the First Citizens Bank building, not the Kildare Court
Right.
multi-tenant building.
Right.
And so it picks up the parking lot area kind of all around that First Citizen. So it touches on the Kildare Court, the roadway,
And the new parcel that we might get.
and yes, and then you kind of see that
Yeah.
upside down V that makes its way up to Bay Road. That is included for potential right of way acquisition purposes.
Yeah.
So the other piece in the project plan that you need to identify to the Department of Revenue is what projects do you anticipate in the tax district?
Mhm.
And what we have identified is not very many particular projects. We say that we are looking at right-of-way acquisition, perhaps some streetlights or some minor streetscaping, maybe some minor infrastructure work. But what we have gone on to say in the project plan is that what the district is being established for is to incentivize redevelopment of private property. And we allude to the F Street project, we allude to the potential Royal Capital project behind Bank Mutual. We allude to a redevelopment of US Bank and First Citizens. So that is the other piece of the project plan. Not only are we identifying the area, but we are identifying possible projects in there. And so we call out those projects in particular, and then we call out some minor village-led investment as the district will be established for 27 years. And the one thing about the project plan, it's not meant to be line of the next 27 years, 15 years from now, perhaps even 5 years from now. But we do want to establish some baseline concepts in that project plan. And so that's what you have before you. And so to Tyler's point about the next steps in the schedule, we are looking at a joint review board initial kickoff meeting this week, Thursday. Then we will present this project plan to the CDA on the next meeting. We'll schedule a follow-up meeting where they would actually plan to take action. That would be sometime in December, following this board's action on a resolution adopting the project plan and the tax incremental financing district. So there will be a couple of opportunities for various members of the public, you as trustees, to ask questions and weigh in. Happy to answer any other questions about the project plan or the timeline that we have right now as well.
Any questions?
And I know, are you picking up properties along here, or are you just picking up the roadway?
Yeah, so that is actually We Energies and their power line. So there was kind of an oddity in the state statute. The state statute allows you to draw the lines of a tax incremental financing district through right-of-way, so through streets essentially, and through railroads. But they did not consider the We Energies power lines area to be right of way. They considered that to be a parcel. So we could not simply draw a line through a little sliver of the We Energies parcel like we wanted to. So we had to draw in the whole parcel of We Energies. We don't anticipate doing anything with it. We don't anticipate We Energies wanting to upgrade their facilities and ask for financial assistance either. But it's just a requirement of state law that says, unlike a road, you can draw a real narrow little line between, from one side of the street to the other. But we could not connect from the Audi dealership through to Otto's without drawing in the whole We Energy piece.
I guess another part of my question is, if I was to look at the whole village and look at all the tiers, how much of the village is now in the tier? Is it 60%?
You want to handle that one too?
No, so the way that the Department of Revenue looks at it and the statutes look at it is you cannot have more than 12.5% of your overall assessed value in a TID. So I'll set aside the acreage question and the number of parcel questions and look to that value point. That's one of the other reasons why the marketplace is not in this district, is because it would push our value up and out of that balance. We would step over that 12.5%. We're at about 12% with this, but keep in mind that we anticipate closing our TID district number 3 along Bradley Road into Tetonia, hopefully by the end of this year. TID 2, excuse me. Yeah, thank you. TID number 2 along Bradley to Tetonia by the end of this year. So that will, or the end of 2024, rather. I'm thinking ahead.
Yeah.
By the end of 2024, we would close TID number 2, and that would drop our percentage down pretty significantly. We'd probably be well under 10% of our overall value in a TID district. From a geographical area standpoint, I would guess that no more than 20% of the village is in a TID. However, we do have kind of our key commercial areas, the original village, the north side of Roundy Road, and now Roundy Road from Bank Mutual through just about the marketplace in a TID. So I think we're pretty well covered. I don't see us doing much else other than the marketplace TID moving forward.
For at least 30 years.
27.
27, well, they overlap. Okay. Other questions?
Yes, I was surprised that US Bank is on their, what's going on with that property.
Yep, so the blight definition, there's a couple of ways to look at it, but probably the easiest way to identify blight in this particular TID was based purely on vacancy or percentage of vacancy. And so the US Bank building is over 50% vacant. The whole lower level of the building, as well as some space adjacent to the bank branch on the first floor, is empty. And so that's how it met that definition of blight. I think some people get scared and or think negatively about it, as though, hey, we're calling your property unattractive, or maybe we're comparing it to Northridge, where there's fires raging on the interior. But that's not what is really meant here. And so a lot of the properties in this particular TID meet that criteria, which is vacancy, and therefore blight. First Citizens Bank, a building prime example, 100% vacant. 4,300, 100% vacant. The land behind Bank Mutual, again, in a little different fashion, that's just been vacant land for 30 years. The improvements that were built there, the infrastructure that was built when it was first developed, are now at the end of their kind of useful life and will need to be replaced. So that is why that is considered blight.
Other questions?
Another question related. When I look at this map, I start looking at opportunity for commercial development and housing development. It looks like it's really tilted towards more housing and commercial development. Just looking at how it's laid out and what's potentially on the table. Is there another opportunity than just housing? Are you seriously looking at?
I mean, I would say, my response to that, if it's housing, it's got, I'm gonna continue based on what I'm hearing from the community for it to be mixed use, where there would at least be some type of both commercial and residential components with it, especially with having so many of the properties along Deer Road. I mean, that's where we really want to continue to push as many of those parcels, some kind of commercial development. So, I would say, certainly I would foresee some housing connected with the parcels. I mean, I think we can make a strong argument for commercial use as well.
And I would add, I think really the properties that front on Roundy Road have the commercial opportunity. So the First Citizens Bank building, definitely a commercial opportunity. The US Bank site, I think a commercial opportunity, but just one that's much more dense than what we have there currently in terms of building to area ratio. The outlot that we're exploring with F Street is an example. The bank branch building adjacent to the old Bank Mutual commercial opportunity. There's even, I think, a commercial opportunity at Right Height, which people may not have recognized, but there is the Right Height building itself is set back pretty far from Roundy Road, and there's actually about 2 acres of green space that front on Brown Deer Road that might be developable. So that's perhaps maybe not all of the broader map area, but I think there's a lot of value still to be added with commercial in those key locations.
Another question just related to parcels of land on Green Bay Road, which is owned by DOT.
Yes.
Is there a dollar amount or a determination been made how they going to dispose of that land?
Not as of yet. We did reach back out to Senator Knodl's office, as you recall, who was at the event that we had kind of promoting the end of the construction, and gave them some of our talking points as to why we would hope that they could push for a no cost approach, and have not heard back as to kind of where that lobbying effort has landed. I will tell you that the DOT, I did just follow up with their real estate office to kind of see where they are in the process. And they are still pretty early in their survey work. So it has some time, I think, before they identify the actual dimensions of what that is. And then once that's done, I think we can start more of the lobbying, negotiating in earnest.
Is there any on all four corners?
Yes.
Has there been a value established for those 4 corners? So that's what we're going down.
No, and so typically, the Department of Transportation has followed an approach where they would offer excess right of way to adjacent property owners. The adjacent property owners would have kind of the first right of refusal on that. And then the offering price would be established by an appraisal, an independent appraisal. The DOT could commission one, the adjacent property owner could commission their own, and then you could kind of, have a little bit of arbitration over what the final price should be. In this case, we know that US Bank would not pursue the acquisition. We don't know what First Citizens Bank would do. The village owns the southeast corner off of Kildare Court and River Lane there. And we do not know what the owner on the southwest corner would do. So really at least 2 corners at play, and hoping that the DOT would consider the benefit, the greater benefit to all taxpayers and in the region for disposing of that property in a no fee, no cost mechanism. And that is what Milwaukee County has done in their excess right of way. But the DOT has not yet done that to my knowledge.
So if the village acquired that, what would the village do with that?
So our goal would be to market that property to the development community and look to partner with somebody who we could incentivize to, let's say the US Bank corner, for example. Ideally, we would have an additional 1 acre of land or somewhere near that from the DOT. It would cost us perhaps nothing. Maybe it would cost $100,000, which is give or take about the going rate for an acre of commercial land. We could then go out to the development community with the relationship that we've established with the US Bank, which has indicated to us that they'd be open to partnering on a redevelopment of that site, but they don't want to lead it. We could go out to the development community and say, hey, we have an extra piece of land that can be packaged with this 4 acres of the US Bank site. Perhaps as part of our incentive on the deal, we can transfer that land to you at no cost. You now have, instead of a 4 acre site, you have a 5 acre site of land on the most heavily traveled, highest visibility corner in all of Brown Deer. Does that seem enticing to you? Oh, and by the way, you have a built-in tenant US Bank that wants to stay there and just reorganize or reimagine their bank branch location. And I think that would be something very attractive to a lot of folks in the development community. So that would kind of be our goal for that corner, and I think similarly for the other corners. Obviously, the corner where the village owns the adjacent land, that's even easier. I think we could just take that extra half acre to an acre of right of way, package it with the parcel that we already have and go straight out to the development community and ask for, an RFP for development proposals and see what type of activity we could generate that way.
So the question is, why weren't those other two corners tied into this?
Good question. So they actually,
Across the street today.
Wow.
Contiguous.
so they actually are already in the original village tax increment fund.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you cannot, yep. You can't double dip, you can't draw, a TID on top of another.
Yeah, I love the way y'all just kind of sketched this out.
It's an amoeba.
It's an amoeba. I had fun. It was a little hard project.
Other questions? If not, this was just, presentation and opportunity to discuss. As you know, that there are several meetings that will be coming forward before this comes back to the building for. So, you want to listening. So we have item number D, to consider revisions to the village's financial policies. And those are in our packet. Tyler, are you
Yes.
or, Derek? Okay.
Yeah, so, we've started doing this on an annual tradition of reviewing the employee handbook, which is a big personnel policy guide for the village. I want to be able to start the same tradition with our financial policies as well. So once a year, we'll be taking the financial policies to our finance and personnel committee to review and see if there's any changes. This year, staff, just because it's been a while, staff put together some red line changes. Sat down with the committee on 2 different meetings to go through the changes, and I know both trustee Owens and trustee Booker came in and meet with Derek and I to go through the changes as well. So in the memo, I summarized the main changes that we've done. A lot of the changes are within the purchasing policy section. Make sure we cleaned up the language on what's required in an RFP process. Really trying to make sure that we're doing an RFP for the services that we described in that section every 5 years. Because sometimes we have services or service agreements that haven't been looked at in several years. So this way we're making sure that we're reviewing those services and making sure that we're getting the best service and the best value. But also there was some other cleanup that needed to be done, so that's all spelled out in the memo. Happy to answer any questions, but just know this will become an annual tradition.
So, and this has gone for the finance committee.
Yes. I was just gonna say too that, I appreciate all the work that's been done on this. This is something that, before I became a trustee, I was kind of pounding on, and it's kind of good to see some of this, get into play in that. So, and this is something that, if there's any changes or anything, or if there's anything that any of the trustees see that we can change in this, then just let us know. And we'll try to, put those changes in here, because we want to keep, in step or in line with policy and procedures that are going on now, because from year to year things change. So in some cases, some of the stuff hasn't been changed in probably 100 years. Appreciate the work.
And I would just like to thank trustee Owens and trustee Booker too, because when we had met, they had identified some things that really strengthened the language too. So with their personal background, that became a real benefit to the village. Just wanted to express that appreciation.
Question. So one question, when when has this been looked at before? I see in here February 6th, but I don't know if that was,
Yeah, before, February 6th, that was a small change on spending stuff. Before then, I think it had been about 6 or so years.
yeah,
Well, we did go through it. I've been here about 4.5 years. I remember we went through some of this, not this level of detail.
and the reason we went through it was because in the audit, it said that you review, or something in there, that we review this annually.
Yeah, actually, I have a clarification. 6 years was the employee handbook.
Right.
The financial policies 2020 was the year that it was recently updated. So I've been 3 years.
But I remember that, and part of it was because it was not dated on the policy, you didn't know when it was done. So it's important to always have your date of when it was revised. Questions?
Oh, good question, kind of related to the credit card. Anything above 5,000, you approve. Then after that, it's 25,000, anything over 25,000.
Goes to the board. If it's over 25,000, then I will come to the board. And just so you know, like, perfect example tonight with the marketing agreement, there will be some things that, even though it's in my ability to approve, I want to come to the board because it's either politically charged or highly visible, you know, those kind of things, or if I know it's a high priority with the board, those, even though it's in my approval, I'll still bring that to the board for your consideration. But like, yeah, if someone's making a credit card purchase, and it's over that 5,000, typically, you know, it's like a department head, and they'll check in with me before they make that purchase. You know, at that time, we, instead of doing a credit card, a lot of times it's more of like an invoice that we would process instead. It would be a credit card payment at that point, but there's 1 or 2 cases we've done that.
Other questions? If not, I want to thank the committee and Tyler and Derek for going through this, and know that as we go through, and if you think of something, and sometimes it does happen. Something that's not even in our policy. Questions, we need a motion to approve these revisions.
I'll make the motion. I move to approve the proposed revisions to the village finance policy.
Is there a second?
A second.
It's been moved by trustee Thompson and seconded by trustee Booker to approve the village's financial policies. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. And with that, I move for adjournment at 6:57. I can't do the back.
Okay.